When women dare to fully be themselves, to rise up as the divine beings they are, to operate in their magic, their sexuality, their power, they are always labeled one thing: wicked.
Wicked is a podcast for women who dare to walk in their true identity, power, and magic, who go against societal culture of being seen and not heard, who are the black sheep and powerhouses the structure tries to defeat. And here is your shepherd leading you astray, Mystic.
Hello, my beautiful ladies. Welcome back. So I wanted to discuss more about the feminine and the feminine energy and what this really means. And I am really inspired by this eclipse season because it's so powerful and so potent. We had a beautiful full moon gathering at my house. I'm loving doing these in-person meetings. This is just the second one. And I have started live streaming the events, and I did create a full moon circle that you can be a member of if you are not here local where I am. We do new moon gatherings over Zoom only, and then the full moon is in person and also over Zoom. I have to say, this is exactly what has been missing from my life. Being able to gather and circle with women in person is just an incredible feeling. And I feel like it's the best way and the way I've always been supposed to be sharing my gifts. I love being able to just love on other women and hug them when they need it, and utilize my own gifts that I have in order to help them heal and step into their divine power. It's been a transformational experience for me already, and I'm only 2 in. If you want to join live stream, I do have the link in the show notes if you're interested in that. You can also find it in my social media handles. I'm hoping more of you join us. Just wow. So in this last circle that we did, we have the lunar eclipse. So at the time of recording this, we have the lunar eclipse in Libra. And I didn't have anything specifically planned to teach on. I just thought I would open up and channel a message that came through. And then after, we did some cleansing and releasing together, which was quite the experience, especially because my 1-year-old son was a participant, and to watch him have some type of emotional release, and just it was I don't really have words as my end witnessing it as a mother. One of the messages that came through was the importance of the current nodal transits. Now, I know that some of you that listen to this are probably not into astrology. I'm not going to, get too deep into it so that I can leave this podcast open for the broader audience. But pay a little bit of attention to this because there is truth in it. Right now, we have the nodes moving through Libra and Aries. And the South Node being in Libra is a divine call to women to stop being people pleasers, to stop putting themselves last and caring for everybody's needs but their own. Right now, it's like the weight of the world is on the back of the women. And this is because it's up to us not only to instill a new type of value system in the next generations to come, so that we can stop repeating the same shit that our grandmothers and great-grandmothers and mothers even have lived through. But by us changing and coming up with new standards and a new bar and a new set of values and new boundary lines that we strictly adhere to, it's automatically going to call up the men. The harder we stick to our own transformation, it will directly affect how men behave. Some of them will fight it, some of them will want to refuse it, and some of them will attack us to try to put us back in our boxes because they don't want to change. But none of that matters. You have to keep speaking your truth and doing what you're doing, because eventually it changes. See, the South Node is our karmic patterning. It's our comfort zone. It's the way things have always been. The North Node is your highest destiny. It's the path that you're supposed to be headed on in this lifetime in order to balance out your soul. In Aries, this represents the masculine energy. In order for men to be where they are supposed to be in their own true identities, operating how males should operate, the women need to release the bullshit programming that is in our consciousness and subconsciousness because of patterns that we hold on to, because of patriarchal structures that are in play, because of cultural conditioning. The changes and shifts that are taking place on a global scale is huge. And it's backing up what I'm saying. You can see when you look around on social media and real life and eavesdropping on people's conversations, there is a great awakening happening right now to this, and it may be in ways that you're not even seeing. Just being at the park in the morning and when all the stay-at-home moms are there and listening to them talk on the phone or talk to each other, I can hear in the conversations things that they're not willing to accept anymore, what other women and other mothers are going through. I mean, just the other day I was at the park and there was a couple standing there pushing their son on the swing. The wife was holding the baby. And she was simply asking this man to do something for her. She needed him to make a phone call. And his response, I don't even want to call him a man. That's like, so this boy man, was trying to put the phone call back on her, and the way he was gaslighting her and ignoring her and stonewalling her, I literally couldn't comprehend it. She was begging. She was saying, please, there's so much I have to get ready for this trip. I need to pack all the kids. I need to plan the hotel. I need to get the tickets. I need to do everything. Can you please just make this one phone call? And he was refusing. It was like all I could picture was that this was a grown woman trying to talk to a stubborn 12-year-old kid who was insistent on rebelling against mommy. And my brain just hurt, and I wanted to say something so bad, even though I knew it wasn't my place. And after he walked away, I debated heavily, should I say something to this woman? But this is why female community is so important, because as females, if we stop making excuses for this type of behavior and we come together and support each other in this type of behavior will eventually stop and need to change. It will take a long time, yes, but you have to start somewhere. This is a specific construct that is in our society. At a larger scale, you can see it in the fall that's happening right now in the government and specifically in Hollywood. I'm going to address both of these. Our government is directly connected to corporate America. Obviously, they run the show. Everybody right now has had enough. Nobody wants to trade in 5 days a week of their life so they get 2 on their own. Nobody wants to trade in their hours of their life for shit pay that doesn't even buy them food anymore. All of this stuff that's happening, the inflation, the poverty, the rise of the housing market, the rise in rent, you have 2 ways that you can view this. You can either view it from a victim point of view, how the government is doing this to me on purpose so that I can't survive, so that they can crash us and make us slaves. because I hear this so much on social media, and all I hear is people screaming, I'm a victim. Or you can take this and say, no, this is how it's being set free. Because right now, so many people are realizing and waking up to the fact this structure does not fucking work. I don't want to do this anymore. They're waking up to what patriarchy has stolen from them for fucking years and for generations. And in that waking up, this is actually birthing so many new entrepreneurs, so many people opening their own business and saying, I'm done. And they're stepping into their power in order to step out of the system. And this is happening for both men and women, because men are realizing too that they're getting paid shit for their hard labor, and that alone is stealing them away from their families. It's stealing them away from being what a true male is. Because while men will put themselves in the role of protector provider, because that is the masculine energy role, sacrificing yourself to a corporate government and becoming a slave to bullshit pay in order to be that is also not the way, because you're just becoming a submissive again. So right now, as a collective in unison, we are waking up to this and we're like, we're not doing this anymore. We're tired. We have anxiety. We don't want your pills because you're the reason we have depression and anxiety. And so a wave of a new way to live is coming, and it's around the corner, but it's going to be led by the feminine, because we're so out of balance in patriarchy. The women are going to be what saves this. We just have to, kick our heels into the ground harder, and we need to even be filtering through the bullshit propaganda that is in our own media that's geared towards women and start rejecting that shit. You have to go through stuff with a fine-tooth comb. Are we all gonna agree on things? No, and it shouldn't fucking be that way. There needs to be diversity in society. There has to be. But there should be a baseline somewhere. And what we have right now is not it. The reason you're tired, and the reason your partners are tired, and the reason everyone is fucking tired and depressed is because we're in an outdated system that doesn't fucking work, and it only feeds a specific group of people. And this is collapsing right now, and they're doing everything that they can in order to remain in that power, but in my opinion, they've already lost it. The people just haven't realized it yet. When it comes to Hollywood, I have a very specific way that I look at this. And those of you that were part of the school I used to have and are in the network now know I'm very vocal about this in my teachings. They are called stars for a specific reason, because they are the false stars. The true stars are in our sky, correct? Because in a time past, you looked up to the sky and you looked at those stars to recognize your purpose, your path. You communicated with the planets, not the astrology that we have going around today where people have memorized and regurgitated things out of a book, which does hold its place. I'm not saying it doesn't. The ancient texts are why we have astrology today. However, if that's all you're doing, you are not practicing in astrology, because those stars up there are deities. They have spirits. They have energy that you can tap into and communicate with, and they will talk to you back. It's a relationship, just like with anything else in the spiritual realm. But what they have you doing, instead of idolizing the actual things that should be our idols in the sky, the real stars that tell you who you are, that teach you about things that are happening, that can free you from your own bondage that you put yourself in this lifetime, that teach you about your own karma that you're working through. They have replaced them with the fallen stars, which is what I call them. They're the fallen stars, and they're the things that you watch on TV and the things that you put your power and energy to instead of the real ones. They're the stars walking around this earth. and people idolize these stars and they think that they are something special. They're just humans like you. There is nothing special about them. And everyone is figuring this out right now, aren't they? Because slowly but surely, it's coming out of the woodwork that these are actually the most disgusting people that have ever walked this earth. Fucking disgusting. They are all fucking pedophiles. And it's so much worse than pedophilia. If you think what is coming out to the surface right now is bad, you are not even close to ready to know how deep this runs. I first became aware of this back in 2010. I've been in this for, nothing is new to me that's coming out. I found all of this out long ago. We were, of course, called crazy conspiracy theorists back then, and whatever. You can be called a conspiracy theorist all you want. When enough time passes and enough people see and things start getting exposed, you're not considered crazy anymore. I don't care about labels. But as Hollywood, Hollywood is actually what magic wands are made out of, because there's a whole spell in Hollywood because they cast a spell on you and you look to them like they are gods and you worship them in a certain type of way. And what happens now when you realize that these singers and actors and all of this that you worshipped are nothing but pedophiles running sex rings and doing all this other bullshit? When you're worshiping the proper stars, not the fallen ones, you won't be let down in this way. Some people act like they actually know these people. They have never even met you. But before I get on too much of a tangent in that, this is just another program within the patriarchy that is falling, because that system that comes through your television and your radio stations and whatever else we do now that has been brainwashing you for all these years is fucking cracking up and breaking down. And you're going to have to replace that with something. What are you replacing these falling stars with? Because that Hollywood, that spell that is cast on you, that's all patriarchy. That's all patriarchy. And as this breaks down, you're going to see the matriarchs rising. You're going to see the divine feminine rise. And while, yes, it will take a long time, Hollywood will be done in a different way. And the people, the new faces that start coming on the scene will be done in a different way. In order to facilitate this transition, it is so important that women start to tap into what femininity actually is. And I can see on social media women trying so hard to figure out what it is. You have to understand and know what to look for, because patriarchy is being rewrapped and repackaged as something different. I mentioned this in our last episode with Tree. The main way you are going to discover what femininity means for you is by actually getting in touch with your body. Now, I'm not gonna cover the physical aspect of our bodies in this episode. We talked about it last episode. I'm gonna have Tree back on to talk about it again. What I do want to cover is the feminine energy and what this means for you and what this represents for you. It's all over social media. I see it in women's posts constantly of what it means to be in your feminine. And there's a range, which there is a range for females anyway, of what femininity is. Being in your feminine is not limited to being a housewife. It's definitely not limited to being a trad wife at all. Okay? You don't need to be put up by a man to be in your feminine. And unfortunately, in today's society, this is like pretty dangerous. I mean, it's always been dangerous. If you look back, I mean, how many of you have grandmothers or great grandmothers that were quote unquote put up by their man? He went out and made the living and she stayed home and made bread and raise the kids, but he also beat her, but she couldn't leave because divorce wasn't allowed, or she couldn't leave because she didn't have enough money to. How many women do you even know in today's society that are in shitty ass marriages but don't leave because they have no money to go do so? Because they're in the trad wife lifestyle. Because if they left, they would have no way to support themselves or their kids. It's not, as much as we want to hold on to that idea, because it's a lovely Disney idea of men are so great that they will put you up and never do anything bad, and those are great words. And it's a great imagination, it's a great movie, it's a great storyline. But the reality of it, I have yet to see this actually play out in a positive way for anybody. I think that is part of the narrative that needs to be let go. So you have this group of women that promote that lifestyle, or just marrying for money, or being in your feminine is not having to go to work and not having to do those things. But then what about women who love to work and who love to create and who love to be paid for what they're doing and love independence? Does that mean they're in their masculine? Absolutely not. It's another way the feminine energy shows up. It has nothing to do with your works. See, that's a very much a production-based mindset. Like, what are you producing? And then this means that you're masculine or feminine, which is patriarchy, because that's a production-based society. What can you produce? That's patriarchy. If you're a woman who produces income and that type of independence, you're called masculine. And if you're a woman that produces babies and bread, you're called feminine. See, it's still patriarchy. Instead, it needs to be looked at that there's a different slice of femininity. Because if a woman is in tune with her womb space and her own self and her own body and her own emotions, which the majority of us are not, let's face it, we've been brainwashed out of it because it's been put down for so long. But when you're in tune with that within yourself, you begin to move through life differently. And this is because you allow things to sit in your body and you either resonate with it or you don't. Your body, as a woman, will have a physical response to people you encounter, to jobs that you take on, to ways of living and ways of life. But you have been taught to ignore this. I mean, you've been taught to ignore this on so many simple ways. Think about it. Most of the shoes you guys wear to work every day or out of the house to look cute or to look a certain way hurt your fucking feet. It is completely against the way a foot is supposed to be. But yet you still wear them and ignore the pain. So you're ignoring that. That's simple. Okay, so if you're telling your body, shut up, wear the fucking shoes, you need to, how even on an emotional or spiritual level can you truly be connecting with your own soul? How many of you are in jobs that literally give you a stomach ache to go to, but you keep doing it and you're just told, ignore it, just keep overriding? So you're taught this on so many levels. Oh my God, in motherhood, it gets awful because you have everything, media, doctors, social media, everything coming up against you of what you know is your natural instinct as a mother and are taught to ignore it. You're taught you are literally going to kill your baby if you don't listen to these people. So your basic primal instinct of what you are here to do, you are talked out of and told to ignore. You're crying because you're dropping your child off at daycare and your child is crying for you because that is not supposed to happen. And ignoring your baby and ignoring your own self is doing what? It's telling your body to shut down and you don't trust it. Eventually it stops communicating with you and you end up on drugs. Well, pharmaceutical drugs. I don't know, maybe other drugs too. People self-medicate in all kinds of ways to quiet the voice that's telling you, stop, it's all wrong. So it is not up to women on social media to tell you what femininity looks like. You can look at the many different lives that you can live, okay? There's so many. Women do all kinds of things. They run companies, they stay at home and have 12 kids. It's a vast sea out there. How do you know what's right for you? Getting in touch with yourself and stop overriding all your emotions and your body aches and your pains when they come up. It's letting things sit in your womb space and knowing if it's a yes or a no to you. I loved in the last episode when I was interviewing Tree, and she said, we have the most powerful yes or no built in our body. It's our blood, because when you get your period, you're saying no. And when you ovulate and have a baby, that's saying yes, right? That's your body's like internal yes or no. So I love using the terminology. Let me hold this in my womb space and see if it's a bleed or if it's a baby. I've been utilizing that so much since we had that episode. Because now when people ask me to do things or why not this, why not that, I can not feel like I'm in a rush to answer, like I'm on the spot and I have to answer. I can simply say, let me see how my womb feels about this. And in a few days' time, I'll know if this is a bleed or if this is a baby. Sometimes I'll know within a couple minutes. But I take that energy into my womb and I know if it's for me or not. Because the more you're up in your own energy and you are honoring of it and you authenticate yourself more and more, who you are as a female, who you are as a woman, you will be more confident in your decision making because you will be defining more and more what it means to be feminine for you. If something doesn't feel right, you'll listen to it and you'll honor it. So maybe as a woman, it feels good to me to be at home with my kids, but it also feels really good to me to work and make money and provide and be out there and be helping other people. Maybe none of that feels good for me, and it only feels good to me to service my family. There's no wrong answer, and this is what women need to stop doing. We need to stop pointing the finger and say, no, you're in your masculine, you're in your feminine. You don't know. The only thing that we need to be doing for each other is encouraging each other to get in tune with our bodies, with our souls, with our spirits, with our intuitions. And what it is getting in tune with your own yoni, because that's where the spirit of all this lives. It can be something as simple as coming off the pill and getting in tune with your own moon cycle. It can be journaling. It can be gardening. These are simple first steps, but you gotta get to know your body first. And you gotta start saying yes and no based off how your body feels with it. The more in tune you get, you will have your yes and no and what works for you. I have girlfriends all over the spectrum in this. I have friends that ride motorcycles. My grandmother from Okinawa used to race motorcycles. Is that too masculine? No. It's what she loved. What you do does not define masculine or feminine. Like the action is not. You see this in the different pantheons. There's all kinds of goddesses out there. I mentioned it in the last episode. There's ones that, well, most of them are goddesses of war. They come bearing weapons. Is that too masculine because it's the man that's supposed to have the weapon? No, it's a different aspect of fierce femininity. Some of us feel called to do that, to be fierce like that. As you move through this as well and get more in tune with your body, you will start realizing what you do as a trauma response as a female. Like a lot of females default to fawning, a fawn response. This was me for many years. I'm actually just breaking myself out of this because of conditioning from, yes, patriarchal, but also from being in toxic relationships a lot in my life. It puts you in this fawn response, and a lot of women struggle with this. And some women, they lean towards that more submissive role, and it's okay for them because it's not out of trauma, it's just who they are. But there's also other aspect of femininity that is fierce. And if that's something that you want to tap into, the right is yours. Look at all the fierce goddesses out there. That was created, goddess identities were created from the human mind. And these are different aspects of femininity. And they are ours to tune into and tap into at any time. If you want to even start with getting to know who your true self is behind your traumas and behind the conditioning, start researching all the different goddesses. There will be specific ones that their energy really speaks to you or resonates with you, and start reading her stories. Because if that is standing out to you, it's because that is within you. You just haven't tapped into it yet. When I was studying in my spiritual practices and in the many different paths that I've been in and out of, one of my favorite concepts was in Luciferianism, when it was referred to, the deities were referred to as a deific mask, meaning that you are not calling upon or calling up anything outside of you. It is something that is within you. And you're asking this thing to rise up in you so that you have the energy of that deity to exert the force and labor needed in order to achieve what it is that you want. It's not that this thing is outside of you and you're begging it to do something for you. It's that it is inside you. It is an energy. It is a mask inside you already that you are just now calling up through these invocations. And these sigils or seals are things that are unlocking that inside you. The whole point of the ritual is to call this energy up in you. Powerful. It's why I love Luciferianism so much. It gets rid of separation. And that's the biggest problem, because the victim hero mindset is just slathered all over spirituality, and I can't stand it, because victim hero is patriarchy, and it has no business in my body. It has no business in my reality. And I have not arrived at nothing. I'm not saying this from a point of I have arrived. I have so much unindoctrinating to do. It's not even funny. I am 1% into my journey in this, and I cannot wait to see the woman I am in even 5 years from now. Because when I get into something, I beat it until it's fucking dead. I am nonstop until I am happy with the results of me and my change in my life. But it's why I can make medicine so well and help other women with that medicine. This podcast was birthed out of the darkest night of the soul I have ever experienced. I actually do not think I have ever experienced a tower moment in my life, although I always thought that I did, for those of you that understand the tarot. Because what I just experienced was the true energy of the tower. It was the biggest fall, the biggest unexpected fall of a tower that I had built in my entire existence. And there were days where I didn't know how I was going to pick up the fucking pieces from this, ever. But I knew that this was for my ultimate good. And I knew that if it was happening, it was for my own highest purpose. And it was in that darkness that this podcast came to me. And it was the tiniest little light that I needed at that time, because I knew that what was happening was to get me back in my fierce, powerful feminine, to get me back in my Kali energy. The specific one in the story I mentioned last episode of her stopping in the middle of war to nurse her baby. But I knew when this podcast idea came to me, and when afterwards the tower really hit. So I already thought that I was in a tower when I got the podcast idea. No, I was just, the first couple floors were on fire. Shortly after, the whole entire tower came crumbling down. And I still showed up to do this podcast. And I still showed up to do the things that I needed to do. And I knew that this journey was going to be my biggest call in life. And I knew it was going to be about rising up my feminine again, but then helping other women do the same. And I will share the Dark Night of the Soul story eventually. It's just not ready yet. But I know that story will help thousands of women in the upcoming years. This is just the start. Women are alchemical by nature. We are able to turn situations like this into gold. We are alchemy. We are the refining fires. We are the Negrado. We are the philosopher's stone. Babies are created in the womb in complete darkness. Think about that. Nothing can grow in the dark. Everything needs light. But a baby is formed in the darkness of the womb. And it's in the darkness of the void that the mother enters in order to birth that baby, also in darkness. If you have darkness in your life right now, situations you feel like you can't get out of, you're questioning things, you don't know what's going on, you feel depressed, anxiety about any part of your life, the answer is inside of you. It's in your feminine energy. It's in your womb space. You have to stop ignoring it. Stop ignoring her call. Your inner warrior, your inner goddess, your inner flame is asking you to compost the bullshit. It's asking you to put it into the refining fires and make something else out of it. By tapping into your divine femininity and figuring out what it is for you, you can create your own deific mask that you want to walk in. We are doing this in the network together. And you can invoke and call up this energy inside of you. And you can birth and create any life that you want. And that life will be labeled feminine because it's your feminine. And it is authentically you. And it is your authentic signature as a woman walking on this earth. The only way patriarchy will go away is if we start getting to know ourselves better, honoring that, and rising up in it. And of course, staying wicked. Want to be part of an online community filled with other badass women supporting each other on their wicked journey? Check out my online community, the Wise Woman Network. We have classes, courses, online community meetings, and more. Activate that sleeping goddess within and unleash your divine power. Join me today on a free trial to all my listeners. Link is in the show notes. I'll see you there.